That is my concern. I still feel like you kind of wanted a spirit here though to get on the back line. Like Sky is very vulnerable. Lena can also be very vulnerable anyway if you get on top of her pre-BKB or even just wasting a BKB. Lena wants to stand her ground through that duration. Once it expires, you're in a vulnerable position to take the fight. But the main thing for me, I'm just looking at CIS Rejects now have two heroes you compare the Inkswell with. So you have the DK potential with his own Fireball and Grimstroke Agshot. It's a lot of burst potential. You can give it over the Ember Spirit. So CIS Rejects have ways to make plays, whereas PuckChamp, you are very reliant on the Sand King. So if Dire put emphasis on the laning phase, how did PuckChamp actually make plays?
I mean, I feel like the leader's lane is going to go totally fine, right? And then it's just about rotating towards... It's all going to be around Lena whenever you look to make a push. Probably around the same sort of time, like if you take a good team fight with a siege creep, sure, that can work out. But Sand King Blink Dagger is what I'm really going to be looking at, right? And then you just look to rally around wherever the Lena tries to push. You know that they're going to want to initiate onto the Lena, so then you just counter-initiate, right? With the Blink Stun, set up the Nether Ward, and try and win the team fight in that way.
Well, we are looking for a carry here on Kralat. Is there any that you feel like is standing out for the 23rd pick?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't need to be like that true position one, right? You've got a Lena. You've got one of those heroes that's capable of carrying the game for you.
10 seconds.
TA's still in the pool, but against an Ember Spirit and a Dragon Knight, it feels a little iffy, especially once the DK gets the Fireball. Got the Grimstroke as well for the Inkswell. I'm just thinking it'll provide them with that little bit of extra tower push and beefiness for the front line.
There's really not much left. They put a lot of emphasis in the second phase to ban out carries, and now with both sides looking for their Ramses and Kralat here, it's going to be the last phase of bans on carries as well. So you're going to have to go into the kind of B tier list of carries now. I'm trying to see what stands out.
5-stealer?
On PuckChamp?
Yep. Got a lot of stuns. Chains isn't going to do jack. Against a strength hero like the Dragon Knight, it's pretty effective. Okay, I mean, it's a strength hero. It's some sustain. It gives you a little bit of that extra push. But I'm a little worried about just getting kited around a lot of these team fights pre-BKB or pre-Blink Dagger where you're the ones to start the fight.
10 seconds remaining.
What do you go for the rejects? Do you Monkey King?
I just got banned out last phase. They don't have much time on rejects, honestly. I just want an aggressive person that can play in the lane with the Grim. If it is going to be Grim 5, which I think it will, I really think you need to bully the Sand King in the lane. So I want some type of hero to really be able to pair with that. And we get the Conquer. So you were asking for the Conquer. And it will be the Ramses Conquer Hover. So a pretty fast-paced lineup from CIS Rejects.
Yeah, I think they specifically wanted heroes that could build BKB early, like I was saying, right? Look at all the magic damage that they're having to contend with the Lena, the Skywrath, the Sand King for the stun and the Epicenter. So Dragon Knight, Conquer, they build like second, maybe third item BKB, probably second item for the Ember Spirit as well. So I think they just really want to take this aggressively, get that second item and just look to run them over. You're still going to need to play around that Dragon Knight a lot though. The push is kind of lacking outside of the DK.
Do you feel like CIS Rejects have at least the heroes that are better than PuckChamp to be able to execute that fast-paced lineup, or can PuckChamp really delay this game, get that Lena online, get that Wraith King online for the dual cores and be able to go from there?
Oh, I'm a little worried about the Skywrath Mage and just what he's going to be able to do in lane. You've got such low armor that if you get caught out once, like probably level 4 is when they're going to look to go for kills. Just a single point in the Axe Marks, which has more range than it used to. Bring him back into a Torrent, 2 points Tidebringer, combo together with a Grimstroke stun, and then just look to accelerate your net worth from there, and use that to hit those earlier timings to perhaps punish PuckChamp.
Okay, well, we'll see if CIS Rejects. Definitely, I think that's the lane they also need to put some emphasis on. If they can shut down the Sand King and PuckChamp, their playmaking potential early could be very much lacking, but all eyes are set on this second game. PuckChamp, they are down one game. They'd love to be able to force us to a game 3 and see if they can end up bringing down CIS Rejects in our last elimination series of the night. But do they have the lineup to take it, Danog?
I'm gonna need a moment to think. Like the Dakalis Pugna as well, right? I feel like he needs to max out the decrep early on. Look at all the physical damage that you're coming up against from the CIS rejects, right? It's not like you're too concerned about a lot of the magic damage reduction that you're going to have to be facing up against. It's basically all physical. I feel like this Ember Spirit's going to go that physical style as well.
You reckon it's all physical? Because you have the... I feel like
it's
DK...
a pretty good amount of physical.
It is, but when you get DK Agshot and Grim Agshot, that's a lot of magic damage. That is a combo that we've seen just be able to burst supports down with ease.
I feel like if they get onto the supports are dead, regardless of if you've got the Nether Ward down or not, though. I just think the decrep is probably going to do a whole lot more to be able to act as like a pseudo save, I suppose, for someone that gets caught out on your team. And not really lacking in push, so he doesn't need to max out the Nether Blast.
What are we looking at? Is this a Courier?
Чувствуешь дрожь в коленках?
What? It's Courier is just this Dies
What the
base.
hell is that thing?
Yeah, I don't know. What's going on?
Is that like a beaver?
Beaver Minor?
I guess so.
Oh, wait,
God,
that's cool. He's riding something.
a motorbike.
Yo, this dude's sick. Whose Courier is that? Wait, you guys gotta go back to the beaver riding. I don't know what it is. It's like a tree missile? I haven't seen that
wood
Courier
chopper.
before.
And he gets little balloons and he puts on the goggles once he levels up.
You know what I'm disappointed on? You haven't... Ember's Courier is not outside the base. And you're a position 2 player. Like you... When we had...
Every second counts.
Yes, when we had the only one Courier, position 2s, you would know. This is how you start the game. You bring your Courier outside the base. You see, the Wraith King hasn't done it for raiding. He's not a position 2 player. Sorry, not Ramses. Kralat, he's just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't need that extra second.
Yeah, you know, you talk about when we had one courier, said the team's courier. Let's be real. It was the mid's courier.
Yes.
There's no contesting that.
Oh, how much nice these pubs are. I know they still can be interesting, but having multiple 5 couriers now instead of the 1, that could be a rough time as we do get ourselves set up for the bounties. Might have a contention by the top rune. Radiant have a nice ward that scouts out all of CIS rejects, but they're a little bit hesitant, especially on F and G, to step on over. So a 3 for 1.
This little start there.
It's fine.
I'm gonna just
This was a useless kill.
dances his way away. 2 wards up on that cliff as well. Who placed him first? Basically around the same sort of time from Astral and FNG there. So don't know if either team actually had it revealed.
This Astral's just gonna meet F and G before he hits the lane. Also, Concussive Shock can do a lot of damage early, but also F and G flexing his muscles, showing that the Inkswell can also do what he would need. And Astral's gonna drop a good old spray before he meets the creeps.
Чувствуешь дрожь в коленках?
Still a little bit worried about Astral here, though, right? Like, you're a Skywrath. Even just with the circlet going into the Null Talisman, you have a 0 armor. So FNG, yeah, the X-Well did a good amount, but even just the right clicks coming out from the Grimstroke are going to do a fair chunk. Can't really look to lane into the Kunkka. He's just going to chop you down every chance that he gets. So I feel like Malik's going to be pretty happy with the fact that he's just drawing the Grimstroke away as much as possible.
There's our other side lane. We got Roger on the Hoodwink up against Miro's Dragon Knight. Carl's playing the Pugna and Kralat on the Wraith King. Do you feel like there's a core that's going to be able to get a little bit more farm than the other down bottom?
It's so hard to contest into a DK, right? But the thing is, like, you've got this lane where the DK loves to go forward, use the Dragon Tail, but then you could just actually have Ducalis drop the decrep onto someone and then prevent them from getting the actual deny or last hit. So it really does go back and forth in terms of skill. It's going to make sure that Nether Ward is up as much as possible, just to be able to chunk down the DK a tiny bit, make him not quite as tanky.
And I think this mid matchup's going to be exciting between Yonji and Depressed Kid. Because we saw in our game 1, Depressed Kid had a really, really good laning phase with the Leshrac versus the Storm Spirit. Still, the Young G Storm was able to have a relatively decent game, and it looks like this time is in a much more favorable lane matchup with the Lina versus the Ember. But We have seen crazier things with solo kills, and Ember can always just spam with a slight.
He's already a fair way behind, about 400 net worth at this stage compared to the Lina. Also out of regen. I think he's got the bottle coming out to him, so praying to survive up until that point, but because of the weight, means that Young G is able to get second Water Rune and just continue putting the pressure onto the Depressed Kid.
You know these position 2s, man. As Young G might find our first blood. Verify used in the chain.
Oh, the tower!
The tower means that Young G is going to take a lot of damage here. Oh.
It's a free win. Just getting essentially another hero out of that tower to try and bully this Lina away a little bit, but he's the one that's doing the bullying. Nice slight dodge, though, to avoid the harass coming out from the Dragon Slave.
Preskid's actually going to try and play up with the creeps aggressive on Young G, but you are now looking for maybe a support to try and secure one of the water runes. Do you feel like either side has easier heroes to be able to kind of help out with the runes?
Probably CIS rejects, right? Like, you've got a DK who's very sustainable in the lane. He's got the 2 points in the Dragon Blood. Kunkka doesn't need to be right up there in the middle of the creep wave, and contesting with people could just use the Tiebringer for a lot of the harassment. Although, when he rotates away, this sort of thing can happen with all the magic damage coming on the top side.
Palat needs one more swing. Roger just evades the damage, but it'll be Ducalis finding our first blood from afar. The Pugnards damage does always rack up. He's got incredible intel gain, 5.2 at every level, and Carlos, that's a great way to start for PuckChamp down bottom.
Or trees, right? He's just going to constantly use that to harass out. 62 damage early on. Doesn't have to contend against any kind of boots available on the Hoodwink, but the death, it's a double-edged sword, right? He was able to TP towards that mid lane, give the bottle refill over to Depressed Kid, and it's also going to provide him with the water rune secured on the bottom side. So, sucks for the lane, really good for the Ember Spirit that you need to be making a lot of these aggressive plays and diving in deep super early on before the DK has the Blink Dagger. I looked at Miero's quick buy for a second, and he had a Mask of Madness queued up, and I'm like, what the hell, Dragon Knight Mask of Madness?
Oh, you know, players
Can't
do
trust
this,
these cores, man.
Yeah, I know. They just want to bait us. They're just trying to have these crazy item builds and get us rambling on for a couple minutes, and all of a sudden we speak for nothing as they just switch their build. Like, yeah, no, we're trolling. Nothing crazy. Good old core plays, but again, it's going to be Miro with the double brace. So this time it's much more of a common build, I would suppose, in the Dragon Knight instead of what we saw in game 1 on his... actually, that was the Pango, apologies, other side. Depressed Kid, mid lane, she's not going to eat the LSA, but they might continue the chase as Young G has the Laguna Blade, can tank up the tower thanks to the extra self regen, and top lane, it's going to be Ramses hitting the board for CIS rejects first.
And it's that stupid siege creep again. It just has a mind of its own. Walks right on into the middle.
Look at this.
He got good bushwhack, though.
Roger, is he going to be fast enough to get away? One more bolt, and Ashur gets the kill. So PuckChamp off to a exceptional start.
Would have been much more, though. You know, again, that siege creep just coming straight into tower range, ended up going away. Didn't shove the tower out either, so... it's a lot of damage missed onto that tower, and that is the area that you're probably looking to take advantage of early on. Your relatively stronger tower push through the Lina.
Look at this on Radiant. They have 3 wards around mid. This is just... they really...
like I said before, you know that this Hoodwink or Grim can rotate, right? So you got to protect the Lina.
Yeah, is it also just trying to help secure the power runes? Because both Lina and Ember can get a lot of value out of kind of rune that can help set up for some side lanes, an invis or a haste.
I suppose so, but you even have to consider what I was talking about in the draft, where, like, this Wraith King isn't necessarily the carry that you're looking to play around. It's Young G this time around. You know, Lena's going to be able to do a lot this game if you give him the space to do it. So, dying in lane, that's not the ticket. Just protect him as much as you can.
They are going to bring both their supports top. In fact, Young G actually runs into the Grimstroke in the river, so... that's the Observer what's paying off there, and I think the pings were starting to come out, so F&G just recognized that at least there is some vision nearby, but he at least stops Young G, along with Ashul moving to top, which there was a threat of maybe killing off Ramses.
Carlos positioning himself in this mid lane here, he has to be a little bit careful going for the dives on Depressed Kid. I know he's got the level 6 now, but always having to be very careful of just... I mean, I said he would probably be looking to put a few more points into the decrep for the defensive potential. I'm not even considering the fact that, of course, offensive potential is kind of nuts as well, right? Just amping up all that damage coming from a Skywrath, coming from a Lina with that Laguna Blade, especially with that reduced mana cost.
So what do you do on Die with how bad of a start Depressed Kid has had? Is it just he's going to continue trying to fighting and catch up that way with his skill build and item build? Or do you look to make plays somewhere else and just give space to Depressed Kid?
Oh, good question. I mean, honestly feels to me like Ramses could potentially even make a rotation towards that mid lane. You've got the supports to be able to punish the Lina, right? And you've got level 7 on Ramses, about to hit 8. So X marks just level 1, into a boat, into another stun. Very quick way to be able to put this Lina on the back foot a little bit and make a ton of space for your Ember Spirit.
I think it's also something I'm looking at when Ramses does think about making these movements. He's had a very, very good start to the lane up top. Top of the net worth, he's got the armlet, and back into the jungle he goes to try and clear some stacks away, but also something we were kind of mentioning in the draft that I feel like Radiant's lineup is really enabled by the early blink timing on the Sand King, and it looks like Malik is definitely working his way towards that, especially with taking the Ancient stack.
With Lina dominating the lane, she doesn't need this level of farm. It's much more important to have that team fight enabler, not just to get, of course, the impact of the instant stun, but sets up so well for things like the Skywrath Mage that are going to be needed to get through some tanky heroes like the Dragon Knight, for example. Take out the DK, they can't push.
Mid lane, the threat of the dive. But it might be in trouble if Youngee can close the distance. They have the ward. Depressed Kid sliding out he goes. Nice play for the Ember Spirit, playing on the edge. He's proving that he's very comfortable on the Ember Spirit. Of course, he's level 25, so more than enough reps on this hero.
Didn't quite see it, but did Roger just, like, walk behind the tower and pull the creep wave around? So, again, Depressed Kid didn't need to actually contest into the Lina. That would be a next level play if he did.
I don't know if he meant it, but it's
Let's say
probably
he did.
yeah, it's a byproduct, I think, of what he was doing. These are some gigantic stacks that Roger's making, but eyes on mid as Depressed Kid might be in trouble, but he already just eats the 3-man rotation, and now they might not get much out of this as Depressed Kid actually with the haste. He's going to chase over to the Pugner, especially with the Ramsey step in. Current on the mark, and this is big now from CIS Rejects. I still feel like I think once you get this Ancient stack and the hard stack as well, we might see Ramses move to bottom, because you always want to be getting early usage out of the Dragon Form, but my concern now is that Sand King has Blink, so Radiant can definitely defend bottom.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Ramses, he's got the armlet, so, you know, nice aggressive early build, but going straight into, I believe, the BKB after that point. Same sort of thing with Depressed Kid. He just wants to pick up those items first and foremost that allow him to stand in on the front lines. Even opting to go for the power treads instead of the phase boots, which tends to be a little bit more common. Just provides you with that tiny little bit more damage, but it's not really the armor that you're too concerned about.
Malik, look at this, the blink reveal. Yunji's got the follow-up burst, and that is a perfect way to show off the blink dagger. As now this T1 tower might be under the pump.
Say more than might. Even just allowing the Pugner to be the one doing a lot of the damage to it. I suppose his Fiery Soul was kind of wearing out, but he's showing respect to the Kunkka, excuse me, not showing on the map at the time. He's actually gone back for the Boots of Travel. So trying to keep these lanes shoved out a little bit more.
We do see some of the position 1 Conkers really like going this Boots of Travel route. It really excels your farmers. Malik's going to get another kill. This is really what I was wanting out of the draft from CIS Rejects, to slow down this blink. And the fact that Malik got it at about 10 minutes and has already converted into 2 kills is a concern for me. I think you need to address the Sand King, and they didn't early, and now you can just keep making plays. It's either going to be the Lina that you can pair with, who has Boots of Travel, so can always be that +1 on the side lane, or you just got the Sky with ridiculous amounts of magic damage, so might be difficult now for CIS Rejects and how they can play the map.
Yeah, you could probably even afford to have Ducalis being a little bit greedier, right? Looking to take a lot of that farm, even somewhat pushing in a lot of these other towers. All you really need is the Blink Dagger plus the Mystic Flare to be able to get a kill on essentially everyone in this game. Maybe not the Dragon Knight, but beyond that, seems pretty damn easy.
Nice word from Radiant. Just defensive one by their bottom outpost. There was an attempt from CIS Rejects to try and kill Young G while he was defending bottom, but that's not going to be the case. And whenever the Sand King is not playing on the map, you see how difficult it is for them to show. Like, Ramses is forced to just X and try and clear out top. They might
Tried the
go
boost
for
travel
them.
play.
They got
onto the
Epi
creep
up
wave.
into... Yeah, Malik's going to do that. A jump in. Epi along with the Mystic Flare. Ramsey going to try and play off the back of the run buff. They don't have a stun to lock him in the Mystic Flare, and that's a costly mistake from PuckChamp. And Astral will be killed off. And I think they should get Malik, although they won't even make that attempt. They have a T1 tower they need to defend as the press kid. He's onto the Lina. Nice illusion dodges out of the LSA, and now with the Lina overstepping the boundary at CIS Rejects, that can penalize the aggressive attempt that PuckChamp were putting out mid.
Press Kid, what a comeback. Had a horrible early first, 7 or so minutes, but since then, able to get 5 kills up for himself.
They might get Malik too. FNG's got the detection, another easy kill. Okay. CIS Rejects. 4 kills back to back, and now the tier 1 tower should be claimed. And this is huge because you also have the Blink now on the Dragon Knight, and they too also have a lineup that can kind of get these pickoffs across the map. And especially with the tier 1 now open, you have a lot more map to play with.
Sure, FNG even able to spend his time making another stack for the rest of his team. So Kunkka, his net worth is going to be just growing and growing further and further. He's going into the Shadow Blade. I'm a little surprised that they don't have a BKB queued up yet for Ramses. He's really putting a lot of emphasis into that Silver Edge, but as long as you could be the ones playing on the front foot, and definitely want to be doing that as a Dragon Knight with the Blink Dagger, might really pay off for them.
Just saw that replay again with Depressed Kid's illusion. That was superb from him. Be able to juke, but back we go to the game as Depressed Kid. Speaking about him, another dodge to the LSA. Now Ramses can step in, but it's pretty close to the tier 2 tower. Collat's gonna feel like he can get active. Armlet working on the dash, so Malik jumping over the tree line. It sets up for the follow-up. If they got the damage to go through, they do. Young G rewarded with a kill, claims the streak, and that's a big one to find here for PuckChamp.
It's that 3-2-2 kill bounty coming through there, did Young G, and this is, I feel, how you need to be playing on PuckChamp now. You know, you've got your early-ish items coming through. Maybe just wanting Krillat to get this this Desolator before you look to full-on commit into a lot of these team fights, but you wouldn't have got that kill if Astral wasn't there with the Ancient Seal.
Smoke from CIS Rejects. They're going to run into Malik and Astral. Who's really running into who at the moment? Both the position 3s jumping on the supports, but Malik's going to flex his magical damage. A quick and easy solo kill as FNG's dispatched. CIS Rejects. At least with that smoke, they're able to get a really deep ward. And Miro is actually going to still run into the sky. So in the end, it will be a 1-for-1.
Oh, I feel really bad for this guy. I feel like he's going to be dying a fair few times in a very similar sort of fashion. Just all of that physical damage that's looking to come in on top of him.
Well, you were just mentioning before Krillat and how close he is to Desolator, but we've seen him really not get active. Only 2 assists at the moment, second net worth, 145 last hits. He's been having a pretty passive game, but Wraith King is someone that, when they're able to find these items, can be very, very scary to deal with. But the question is, do you feel like CIS Rejects have the lineup to really deal with Krillat?
It's weird, right? Because I feel like you actually do have a lot of sustained damage coming through. You know, you've got the Tidebringer, you've got the Sleight of Fist, which is going to come out pretty frequently. The Dragon Knight, of course, just in the Elder Dragon form, you're able to do so much. It's really only the Sharpshooter that you're, like, full-on committing on something. And even that just has 45-second cooldown. So I think it is something that they're able to deal with, but Krillat is definitely going to play a more active, like, I don't want to say semi-carry style, but he's going to be the one going in deep. He's going to be the one popping the BKB early, blinking in right on top of one of the more vulnerable supports, and making space for the Lina to be the one doing the work.
Mid lane, they've got the lane ward, so Miro eyeing up Astral, but everyone's behind. In fact, it's Malik that starts the fight. Ramses is already forced to use an early poke, but look at the magic damage, man. That is a lot. Decrep on top of the Sandstorm, and does that open up the pit? You did just complete Deso. Maybe you want to pick off beforehand, but they have very good vision nearby for PuckChamp.
Oh, without that boat, it is kind of tempting, right? Like, it is the big teamfight equalizer that you've got on CIS Reject's side, and they've just established a lot of vision as well for PuckChamp.
Oh.
Trying to bait Krillat, I think.
Oh, FNG might be killed off. Just gets out of range. But
It's enough
Depresskid's
just to
got to be
push him away.
careful. Look at this to the north. They see him with the ward. Okay. Oh, that was close. There we go. So Malik's going to shove top. This will free up the Roshan opportunity.
Arrow's coming. He's got that Blink Dagger in a couple of seconds, trying to chase Malik, but...
Ashel pops a smoke. Depresskid's going to force a very early BKB just for this guy with Mage Kill, who does have a buyback if they want to stick in the area. They can fight knowing BKB's on cooldown.
Know exactly where Krillat is at this stage, but doesn't have that gap close. That's the key differential, right? You've got so much to be able to control him right now. X-Marks, Bushwhack, Slide of Fist, Blink Stun on the Dragon Knight. So it does feel like this Wraith King continues to have to play this more defensive style of role.
Oh, there we go. Epi's out. Malik. A solo Epi to try and defend the Observer Ward, so nothing crazy. Does this open up the pit now with a kill? 20 seconds with a Grimstroke down. Yeah, they're going to think about it.
Think about it, but I mean, you're kind of pretty shortly on the Grimstroke. You can use the Torrent to be able to scout it out. You can use the Acorn shot to do it as well. Really feeling not all that interested in being able to do so. What's the vision look like for the CIS Rejects? It's pretty damn dark outside of a ward inside their own area.
Oh, wait. I don't know who Radiant was scanning for someone to steal that, but they make sure there's no threat of a Aegis snag. As there we go, Young G getting the round two. You'd hate to give it up instantly, and I think he's going to do just that. Look at CIS Rejects. Does he have the threat of the BKB? No, the chain control. Well, there goes the Aegis. Bye-bye advantage.
With the scan previously, Malik was pinging it out, Kunkka missing. He's got the Shadow Blade, and I don't think they had a sentry at the time, so they were being absolutely certain that they weren't going to go for any kind of really cheesy plays there on Ramses.
Prepare for a lesson.
The Ramses is still continuing to be the hero on top. He has this fresh Silver's Edge completed, and like my question is, we've really seen the Kunkka in more in particular the last patch. Like, he could get ridiculously farmed and have a lot of impact in the late game. You know, that level 25 is really scary. Just playing with the 2-second Tidebringer once you've got a lot of damage to be able to pair with that as well. But is Kunkka as strong of a late game carry in this patch compared to what he was prior? Do PuckChamp have to be worried about how much Ramses is getting?
I personally don't think he's a super strong late game carry, to be honest. Like, the people that are going to die early are going to die late, so nothing changes there. My big thing is it's one of these carries that could just do so much early, and the area that I'm concerned about is that he really hasn't. You know, it's 20 minutes, he's been involved in 2 kills, and if you're going to go a Shadow Blade, I feel like you need to get active. He's gone the full Silver Edge, and he's going into the BKB after that, so I honestly don't feel like too much is going to change in the next 5 or so minutes until he picks that one up.
This is continuing to push us to the later stages here, where the Lina is going to feel very comfortable, where the Wraith King is going to feel very comfortable to be able to take this game, because bottom lane Ashel, you force out a BKB. It's going to cost you your life, unfortunately. Of course, BKB charges aren't as crazy valuable anymore. They have been for quite some time without the 10 seconds, but at least it's getting closer to 6, I suppose.
It's nice, for sure. Get a nice little bounty rune for himself as well. But yeah, kind of like we were expecting, Krillat, he's gone for that Blink Dagger before having the BKB for himself. So he wants to get that instant pickup onto somebody if he can. Arrow and Roger, they're hanging out inside the trees to the north side, and look at that. I sensed that he was coming.
Dire's top tower is under
Might
attack.
even be going for a smoke here, yep. It's so much burst damage that you're able to output just with these 3 heroes. Ducala's going to reveal on the lane. He doesn't really change too much about these gank attempts.
They're going to be on point. They're reading this perfectly. Someone playing around the triangle, but Rams he is out of there. Silver's Edge doesn't want to stick around for too much longer, so PuckChamp, they're going to ward down aggressively. They love to play with this shortly, especially once they're starting to hit these item timings, but a nice read from CIS Rejects. It will just cost Evan G's life down in the bottom lane. Nothing too crazy. Maybe they can net this into a tier 1 tower.
Nothing too crazy. He just got 2-shot, man. What are you talking about?
Well, nothing crazy in regards to just the value of the kill, but yeah, I guess getting 2 shots never fun. I do like this a lot though from raiding. You see, you got the minute mark coming up shortly, and they have this observe ward as well by the triangle. So you want to be here. If you can take away at least 2 camps, of course the Ancients is a lot of gold and experience as well. This is just economic damage, and now you know where CIS Rejects are going to be. They're up in the top jungle, so this can definitely give them some confirmation of where Dire are playing, and maybe they can set up for a kill, or at least they'll be aware at least their lives are not really under any threat.
Yeah, but for CIS Rejects,
Bottom
it really does...
Kid. Hang on a second. Yunji is going to see him in the tree line. They're missing the bar strike, but it will not matter. There's a magic burst. Malik and Yunji flexing their muscles, showing that no, they have plenty of damage to go through the Ember Spirit before the BKB, and to the top jungle we go as Kralat just a bit too late to catch Ramses out.
Exactly where he is, walking underneath that Observer Ward. Just having to be a little bit careful. Oof, just able to get the TP away there on Ramses. Yeah, it does feel like they're almost ready to start to get a little bit more active on CIS Rejects side. I don't think you can afford to wait around for the BKB on the Dragon Knight. Just getting that initial stun to set up for all the burst damage should be enough to make sure that you've got a 5v4 team fight beyond that point. They need to play around their vision though, which is kind of lacking. It'll almost be worth using a smoke just to, while revealing other people on the map, just to put down some of these deep observer wards when you've got the great gank squad potential.
Are these BKBs ever going to do much for Dire though? Because Raiden are at the stage where their right clicks really hurt with Deso and Kralat and Youngji continuing to stack up. I mean, he's almost got a Silver's Edge, so you really got to respect the Lena. Down to the south, Miro's going to run into the Pugna. That's actually the Ember that might be in trouble. The BKB, apart from Depressed Kid, is actually going to run them in aggressively. Meanwhile, the Pugna still will be killed off by the outpost. 2 supports taken care of with ease as CIS Rejects might even run into Malik. Burrow up, but he will not have the opportunity for a blink as an instant slight, cancelling that opportunity. CIS Rejects. Beautifully done. A 3-for-0 trade. It doesn't cost you too much as well.
Cost you too much. And the thing is, what we were talking about with the BKBs, I still do feel like they're kind of important, right? That counter initiation potential is still there, well and truly. With coming through from the Sand King, you don't want to be decrept. It's, you know, maxed out, so it's got plenty of a range. He's got the Aether Lens as well on the Pugna. And even just the Atos on you from the Skywrath Mage. Like, imagine running in on a Kunkka and just having to stand there for the longest time because you're getting kited around, stunned. Even if you don't die, this is the hero that you've put a lot of emphasis onto your farm. So I feel like it is actually important for Kunkka to be there in the midst of things.
Yeah, maybe important was the wrong way to put it for myself. I just feel like it's at this stage where now you have a lot of physical damage in the Wraith King and Lena. So how much value are you going to get out of it? 100% agree that there's a lot of magic damage, there's a lot of stuns. If you're not playing with BKB, then you're not really right-clicking. But I think if you're still charging with BKB and Lena's freely sieging the backline, Wraith King's having a good fight, then they will have plenty of physical to go through this.
They will have plenty of physical. I think a big part of CIS Rejects game plan in this next little bit is going to be playing around the Shadow Blade on the Kunkka, right? You don't have the greatest vision like I was saying before, so it's really just going to be on PuckChamp with how good is your Sentry Vision. You should know that you've got this Sentry Ward on... Sorry, not the Sentry Ward. The Silver Edge on the Kunkka. He's actually been given over the gem just because of how tanky he is. He wants to clear out a lot of PuckChamp's vision and map information, because then, once those are removed, he has the capability of going in onto someone like the Lena, who, unless she pops her BKB, is pretty damn squishy.
And you see this gem... Takala's actually going to miss the ward by the secret shot. That was a valuable ward, though, placement. from CIS Rejects. Enough to be able to protect the Ember so he wasn't caught out, but they will run into Roger in the lane. Nothing crazy.
There it is.
Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, they're onto Lina. But the Dragonite and the Grimstroke do not have the damage, but that's going to be where Depressed Kid and Ramses can come into play. They're going to try and jump the backline, protected for the BKB at the moment, so Depressed Kid will turn to the Skyeth Mage instead of the Lina. But now with this expiring, there might be enabled for CIS Regis to continue the chase. Without Malik nearby, there's no turn potential, but all eyes on Krillak. Initial stuns out. Now with a Destro Amp, oh, they kill him off just like that. The step in from Young G, dropping the Laguna Blade, enough to cut away the life of the Ember Spirit, and beautifully done as PuckChamp. They sweep from top to mid, and they're able to find the trade.
That was actually enormous because the Sand King used his Town Portal Scroll onto a creep wave by accident, ended up cancelling it, and had to walk all the way from top to bottom. So they won a 4v5 team fight.
Just look at how they started, though. Trying to kill off the Grimstroke. You see, the Soulbind really put the Lina in a very awkward position where she couldn't stand her ground and right-click. The Wraith King really wasn't there to kind of be the body for the Lina. And whenever Depressed Kid's getting aggressive like this, Lina's always going to be forced to reposition. So I know you put a lot of importance on BKB. I think it's also important for Radiant. In that regard, just if Lina cannot stand her ground and right-click through BKB, then afterwards she's going to be dead meat.
And of course, on the Ember Spirit, that Aghanim Scepter is really important, right? You need to play this aggressive backline diving role, very much more the Magic style, I suppose. He's there for control. It's going to be up to the Kunkka and the Dragonite to dish out more of the sustained damage. But it really feels like you're going to have a bit of an issue with this Pugna, right? Like, he's been able to get so much damage done with the Netherward that the Flame Guard is going to expire pretty damn quickly in a lot of these team fights and make you so much more vulnerable.
Well, Rocheball, love to see that as Radiant. An easy snag, and there will be no contestation from CIS Rejects. Aegis, Ag Shard. Looks like Krillak's actually going to pick up the Shard.
Not too many other better heroes to have it, to be honest. I still think Lina, Pugna, and Skies are pretty trash, so yeah, why not?
With this on CIS Rejects, so they're baiting this mid lane. This is always an important lane to have shoved out. So someone on Radiant is more than likely going to be forced back. Unless they actually cut their own mid lane, then maybe they won't have to.
But, I mean, no one's showing on the map, right? It's incredibly obvious what they're going for, so they're just looking to continue playing together as a team. The team fight on PuckChamp is pretty damn strong right now.
It's definitely the spot you want to fight, though, if you die. You got a really good ward around the mid lane. Your second ward on the map is by the secret shop, and because both sides have gems, you need to get early value out of these wards, otherwise your map's just going to continue to be dark.
Krillak putting his body out there first. So he has the gem, so got to make sure he's not dying twice, but look at all the vision that he's able to remove from the map just by being the one that carries it. Similar sort of role that the Kunkka was previously playing. I believe he's given the gem over to the Dragon Knight now, but I believe Kunkka's got Satanic, so he really needs to be the one getting in deep, getting the stuns off, just providing the vision, honestly, to enable the initial stun. But who do you initially stun? It almost feels worth it to kill Ducalis at the start of a lot of these team fights, just because of how much he's going to prevent Depressed Kid from having an impact, especially now that he's got the Aghanim Scepter. So yeah, Pugna must die for CIS Rejects to have a chance in these team fights.
Okay. All eyes on Ducalis. If they can kill him off before that Nether Ward is placed, and Depressed Kid having the Ag Scepter, the level 20, can make that a little bit easier.
Such a long cast range, though. It's got the Psychic Headband and the Aether Lens.
Oh. Goddamn Pugna here. He's even going A on Dis next, so he's recognizing the value that he can have throughout these fights. But it's a very, very even second game. 4,000 net worth lead for PuckChamp. They do have the Aegis advantage, a second Roche. But look at CIS Reject clumped up together. They want to take the fight.
Siege Creep is going to survive. They'll be forced to pop the Glyph if they want to get rid of it. Krillak taking up a lot of the right clicks, and that is a tower that melts pretty damn quickly.
They're
from a
wrapping.
Desolator plus Alina.
They're wrapping. Look
find
at
the
this.
Pugna.
CIS Reject. Smoke's going to pop, though, straight towards the back line. Depressed Kid trying to eye up the Pugna along with the Lina. Unable to do so, but towards the right, the Conker's getting controlled. In they go back onto the press kid, Theos, giving him a little bit of breathing room, but now Ramsey's in trouble. He doesn't get the BKB off, and Ramsey's live. Cut down. Collat, double kill, blinking aggressively, trying to eye up Miro, who will just escape to the south, but he's under the ward, so they know exactly where Miro is, but no one will continue the chase, and in the end, PuckChamp coming out on top at 2-for-1 with the buyback from Ducalis.
How do you have a fight that lasts that long and not pop Satanic or BKB? He hasn't used BKB once, and I feel like he got it 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We're able to eventually get the kill onto the Puckner, but really nice use of the life drain there, just taking advantage of that really long cast range on Ducalis to make it so that you had to commit that little bit further onto Press Kid to make sure that the Puckner was dying.
Ah, yes. Good on no creeps for Lena. She get one of the barracks. PuckChamp, they've been able to push their lead up to 8,000. They still have the Aegis for a minute, along with the Epicenter, so they are in fighting shape. Alright, they're going to try and blow up the Aegis. Good job with the Sharpshooter. That's enough. Maybe this will deter PuckChamp, but they know Ramses is still down for 20. Oh, Miro's actually going to jump onto the Fireball, so the damage, it's doing a lot to the Lena. BKB's available. He's able to get it off at the last second. Sandy is grabbed with no remnants on Depressed Kid. They've got the detection, and he's gone. Depressed Kid killed off, doesn't respect Lena's damage. And now PuckChamp, they can back off, happy with what they've claimed across the map.
Thinking maybe it finally was a good fight for the CIS rejects there. Kunka was about to respawn. Got the
Double back,
dieback
look
on
at
the
this.
Puckner. Oh no.
They've got the Epi, they got the Mystic Flare. Ramses, maybe not another opportunity for the BKB. The burst, not enough, and now they're going to turn. Ramses, nicely done. Boat is dropped. They want to take the fight, though. Look at the buyback. Melik, sensing a sign of weakness. They know the BKB was expended. What a read. Radiant, catching Ramses out, recognizing as soon as the BKB expires, we can buy back, get on top of him, and push another lane down and even threaten top.
Maybe thread and thrown, potentially, right? You've got this Desolator, you've got the AC, and you've got Alina. Still going to take the safe route. Of course, they've got the most balanced neutral creep in the game, helping them out a little bit. Harpy Scout just patrolling the area.
No, it doesn't. Nothing wrong with seeing Roger under tier 4 towers. Nothing wrong.
Absolutely not.
Ooh,
Nice.
nice reactions. Alrighty, 14,000 net worth lead, 2 full sets of barracks, and down to bottom they go. They want to try and open up the megas. By the time tier 1 and tier 2 is pushed in, I imagine Ramses will be up shortly, but we are really seeing how difficult it is to be able to deal with the dual core lineup of the Lena and the Wraith King.
Yeah, I think this just comes down to the fact that you have a Kunka that is effective early. Position 1, this isn't a hyper carry, right? And you just haven't been able to take advantage of it.
Press Kid, they're going to get the initial stun. Oh, that is the worst timing.
I mean,
He's dead.
he had to have been DC'd, right? Like, he just stood there completely. And the lol comes out. You hate to see it. I mean, what do you do when you come back into this game and you see a 3/4 stun bar on yourself, basically half HP? You're like, God damn it. Can you give me this one, guys? Can you let me have it?
I mean, I hate to put it like it. I think that's just game, right? He's got no buyback. Yep. They've got LSA. He will 100% be killed off.
Even Epi in a couple of seconds for anyone else that straggles in to be able to help.
Oh, no.
Well, game 3's coming up.
I was wanting a game 3. This is going to have to be a stupid hold from CIS Rejects.
It's fine. This was a
Melik tips
the
him.
instant tip.
Smile
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
You reckon he's like, come on, guys, you want to maybe leave me? You want to maybe let me get away with my life?
And Eastern European trash talk is pretty good. They're like,
Just the
everything
smiles.
is accurate to, no, not even just the smiles. Like, you know, the stings don't,
Alright, we got
it's
a game.
perfect.
Look at this. Yep, Emma's killed off. No remorse. And now Miro's the next on the agenda, but the BKB gets him further away, and oh no. There we go, even jumping to the backlines. Collat, Mag's gonna follow suit. A double blink onto the support. F&G gone. And now Miro, he might be under some trouble. The Dragon Knight's not easy to kill off. Maybe that's where the Epicenter come into play. a force out of the sandstorm, but even the decrypt for good measure. Ramses is
They'll be
back
able to go
alive,
back to
but that's
Your
an early
barracks are not.
BKB. PTSD from Ramses. He didn't get the BKB off fast enough last time, so we'll make sure that's not an opportunity now, but it doesn't matter. The G's are caught, and we're going to Game 3's PuckChamp. Even up our last series of the night.
It's probably one of the fastest win probability graph spikes that I've seen in a long time from PuckChamp. They just seem to play that 25-minute mark onwards perfectly. Not one wasted rotation, constantly baiting with the vision. And turns out that was around the time that you got the Helm of the Dominator on the Skywrath Mage to be able to, just see everything on the map. So very balanced. Thank you very much, Harpy Scout.
Yeah, we're all waiting for that good old patch, but for PuckChamp, a beautiful performance from them. We saw, I think for me, the real big thing I was looking at this game was how much the Sand King was able to get out of the lane. I think that was a hero that really enabled their early game, that blink. We saw them convert early. Die. We didn't really see many rotations from them. They didn't play with the Elder Dragon form to try and take towers. We didn't see the Conquer kind of moving bottom to pair with him, go from bot, go to mid, because you had this window. You go for a pretty fast-paced lineup. Like, Conquer is not going to scale as well into the late game. Maybe they're kicking themselves with how inactive they were early.
Yeah, I think that's the case. A scoreline of 2, 2, and 3 on a Conquer in a... How long was this game? 35 minutes? Not what you want to see. You can excuse that on something like a PA that just needs to constantly be farming because you're eventually going to get to that stage. But Conquer, his strength comes early, pre-30 minutes, and he just never took advantage of it.
I'm happy though. Nonetheless, we at least get a Game 3, our last series of the night, and of course, everything is on the line. The potential slot just to even stay in Division 1 for next tour, the threat of the second top 4 team being relegated down to Division 2. I mean, it's scary for PuckChamp, but it's also scary for CIS Rejects. They just were promoted into Division 1. They do not want to go back down, and also, if you win this series, it gives you now an opportunity for a double elimination to maybe have that slot for the third one to make it over to the major, but a lot is on the line. Our last game, our last series of the night, we'll find out what's going to happen after the break.